Gosh, man. There's no telling how many fish are out here. Oop, there's one. Oh, whoa, whoa. This is a bass. It's a really big one, but yeah, I think it is. Oh yeah, there we go. That dude was sitting on bottom. Huh. This is kind of a cool learning process. Like, these fish are pretty pelagic and they're moving, just chasing bait out in the middle of the lake, where I've never fished in my entire life. I just kind of got curious, poking around out in the middle. It's truly the basin of the lake, doing this shake and bake, like modern day tight lining. After Jacob Wheeler won on Gunnersville and kind of piqued my interest, but there's fish out here. It's kind of curious. I was out the other day and they were far more aggressive and kind of more obvious, but today they're a little harder to get, but it's a good start. Take it. So the bait I'm using is a freeloader, which is a straight tail bait, more commonly used as a trailer for a chatterbait, vibrating jig, a spinner bait. But it's been this new direction with this style bait on a light enough head where you get it down to the fish's level and you start shaking and the bait rocks. This bait has flat sides, which really helps it rock. And you can kind of hang it and just very, very subtly bring it above the fish, but keeping it close to them, and once they see it, they come unglued. But it's a bait that's proven to be super effective when fish are neutral, negative, highly pressured. A lot of the TVA fisheries where Wheeler won on Gunnersville, those fish are super pressured. And those fish just reacted to this bait like they'd never been fished for. It's really cool, and I'm definitely seeing it here today that it's getting these fish to bite, but there's not a lot of baits that you can do that with. Like a jerk bait's a great tool for this type of fishing, but when you're down, 14, 16 feet, that's a little bit deep. Granted, they will come up, but I don't know. This, you got a single hook. It's just a really cool presentation that's super effective for targeting individual fish or groups of fish, but keeping that bait right in the strike zone. It is critical because these fish are often, they're swimming. So if they're swimming this way and you cast on top of them and it falls behind them, they don't see it. Like, you'd think it's like, you start to wonder, how in the world would I ever catch a fish without this? But you really have to lead the fish, or if they are somewhat stationary or sitting by cover, they seem to be more aware. But it's a classic strike zone thing, right? You got to get in their strike zone. When some days it's bigger, some days it's smaller, but what I'm speculating is that, and there's a ton of bait out here. There are bluegills and crappies and minnows, bait balls. These fish got them. Oh, here's a better one. They're out here eating. Oh. For whatever reason, there are fish around the shoreline, but for some reason, there's a lot of fish out in the middle. There's also a lot of bait. Look at that. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is so cool. Man, who would have thought, a year, 2 years ago, no one would have even thought much of this type of bait, other than a trailer, but it's wild. It's wild. So part of this system, this jig head has a screw lock, so it stays on there really, really well. Like, you can't rip it off. And the bait has flat sides, so and it's a light enough weight. If you put a heavier weight on this to get down quicker or fish deeper, you lose that action and you lose that control to hover it almost. But I think what forward-facing sonar is teaching me and everyone that's using it is that there's fish out where we never thought there were, but specifically largemouth. Smallmouth and lake trout and a lot of other types of fish roam around in open water and somewhat relating to cover but chasing bait. But I think this whole largemouth dynamic with it is kind of a new deal that it's cool. I'm thinking we're just scratching the surface, but there's something to it, I'm convinced. Oh, here he comes. Got him. Oh my gosh. That is too fun. I've been fishing my whole life. And obviously I love learning just like everyone else does, but this is so different and so new. I've never been as excited to go fish and just try this. This is a big one. But it's a new way to fish and it's a new skill set for sure, is managing your trolling motor, where your transducer's pointed, and knowing your angles of your cast, your distances. It's a whole new skill set you need to develop and practice. And I know all the pro guys that I work with, they practice this in the off season. Like it's a job. You go out and learn it. And I'm kind of doing it for fun, but my gosh, when you start to get it a little bit dialed in, here's the result. Like, proof's in the pudding. It is cool. And it doesn't work every day or on every lake or any time of the year, but I don't know. I'm learning as I go here, and I know today this is the deal. I mean, it's a cool and easy setup, you know. It's just a 7-1 medium action spinning rod. This is 6-pound braid, 12-pound leader. You don't have to go super light, I don't think. It's a pretty straightforward system, you know, braid to a fluorocarbon leader, 7-foot spinning rod. You're in business. I mean, you can go fish all across the lake, any kind of depth. It works shallow, it works deep. I mean, obviously out deeper is, I think, where it kind of shines, and definitely where the fish are today, where it's a good application for this setup. But man, there's something, it's just so fun. They crunch it, you just reel down and just give it to them. But this hybrid head and a single hook, you very rarely lose them, you know. It's just one of the advantages of using a single hook. So I know that's why a lot of the pro guys are a big fan in tournaments, but I don't even know what to say anymore. This is really, really cool. I don't know. I'm like a kid in a candy store right now. This is fun. I feel like their attitude's changing too as the day's going on, the sun's getting up. I feel like the fish are a little bit more off bottom and they're more aggressive. So now I'd like to find a few of the real big ones though. I know they're out here. Like, I think I'm around some. Yep. Like, hey, set the hook. I'm on. Oh. I'm not sure what else to say. This is just very, 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 very cool. Totally blown away. It's not every day that you find like something so different and so new that really has, I mean, it's been done before, and a lot of the Japanese guys have been doing this type of technique and tactic, primarily down south in the TVA, and I'm sure it's come from Japan for those super pressured clear water fisheries over there. But now expanding on that technique and the applications it's going to have all across the country, north, south, east, west. I truly think there's going to be a time and place for this tactic to work. We're in, you know, the middle of summer, getting towards the end of summer. There's a little color to this water though. That's kind of the interesting part. It's not gin clear by any means, and they're munching this thing. And this, you know, I don't think you have to overthink colors. This is gizzard shad, and it's a color that is just a really good bait fish color. You know, there's crappies and there's bluegills and there's shiners and different minnows in here, but certainly emulates, obviously, gizzard shad, which is one of the more common bait fish around the country. But whew, I don't know, this is pretty cool. This is exciting. I really do, it's like renewed my like excitement to go fishing and like try this in different places. This is really, really cool. So, time for another one.